All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We've got an exciting episode. I'll just fast forward to the countdown a little bit here to get on topic for the pros of living in Idaho. This is a highly requested topic. Everybody wants to know why so many people are moving to Idaho, what the hubbub is about. So we're going to talk through a lot of that, from traffic or commute to recreation to quality of life to just general lifestyle, economy. We're going to cover a lot of ground today, so we'll get started here. We've got a great guest on tap, Chase Hodgson with Summit Funding. How you doing, Chase?
Fantastic, Jerod. How are you doing this morning?
I am good, as always, man. Great to have you here. For sure, we do have a couple of housekeeping items I want to cover real quickly here. Um, for those that you don't know, my name is Jerod Lee. I'm the associate broker and team lead here at My Home Connection in the Boise, Idaho area. We have a sponsor today. That's the perfect home buying process. We've spent the last couple of decades refining and perfecting our home buying process. Through that, we've developed a lot of tools and skills to help you navigate the process, from sharing real estate secrets that you need to know to a 100-page relocation and lifestyle guide, lots of different reports to, from neighborhood to community property reports. Um, we've got some special promotion up to $1,000 total, up to 500 on your appraisal, and and 500 on your home inspection at closing. So if that's something you want to take advantage of, we'll talk later on in the podcast about how to take advantage of that program. But the one thing that'll be the most helpful, we are going to talk about a lot today, but we've at a high level, but we've drilled down on our website, myhomeconnection.com. There's a Why Idaho section, and right at the very top, and that'll break down the different. Oh, is it coming up here? Let's see. So when you select Why Idaho, let's see here, it'll give you a breakdown of the different segments that we've developed out on our podcast, from hunting to fishing to hiking to biking, snow sports. So we're going to get into a lot of detail in those areas on this website, not just in text, but in video format in these podcasts. So, feel free to go to myhomeconnection.com and view those as well. And with that, we will jump into the podcast. Let's see here. All right. Again, Chase, thanks for joining us today. You're a native of Idaho. You've got a lot to bring to the table.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, I've been here a really long time, and I
Yeah.
love living here. I've tried one or two other places, but my heart's here.
Yeah.
Always come home.
Yeah. Raised a family, got kids and family here.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. Got married here. Married native to Idaho who has deep roots here. Um, my kids, this is the only state that they've known since they've been here. I have three boys, 15, 12, and 7.
Okay.
And yeah, they keep us busy.
Well, just so everybody knows, I've been here a long time as well. I moved here in '94. I raised my kids. They're all adulting right now, but I feel totally blessed to have raised my kids here, lived here, and all that Idaho has to offer. Prior to that, I was a Navy brat. My dad was Navy, and we moved every 3 years. So I've got points of reference from all over the country and even internationally to reflect back on, from weather to culture to quality of life, to pests. I mean, just kind of pretty much anything you could think of, I can compare and contrast that. So hopefully between the two of us, we just bring a lot to the table here. Um, I think probably the one that we might jump to first, just because we get a lot of questions on it, is weather, right? What's the weather like in Idaho? We get a lot of people relocating from the West Coast, a lot from California, a lot from Oregon, a lot from Washington. Obviously, Washington, Oregon, a lot of rain, but California, kind of that ideal weather. So let's chat about that first. You've seen some changes in the years since you've been here.
Yeah, it's always interesting, right? Because growing up, I remember winters being much more harsh than what we're seeing today. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that's the mind of a little boy. But I remember deep snow drifts and things like that, and playing in them and building snow caves. And uh, but we're like crazily moderate compared to what people expect of Idaho, at least here in our valley, right? In this part
Yep.
of Idaho.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I first moved here, there'd be days where the kids would miss school because of snow. We'd not get into
Hmm.
work. We weren't working remotely at the time. But yeah, things have definitely changed over the years. It's definitely more moderate. We live in the Boise area, the Treasure Valley is in this banana belt, so it's kind of a warmer climate. So when I said, we'll be talking about specifically things in southwest Idaho, just know that Idaho, the rest of Idaho can be quite a bit different as it relates to weather. So if you want information on that, let us know. But we'll talk specifically about the Treasure Valley. But other than Snowmageddon, it was either 2015 or 16, I think. Really, we don't get much snow in the valley here. It might come for a time, maybe a couple hours, maybe a day, but basically it's melting off by the end of the day or certainly the next day. We kind of got to go to snow at this point, up, north just a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like that's what, maybe like every 7 years or so we get a decent amount of snow here in the valley. 5 to 7 years, but most of the time it's very moderate, But the great thing about it is you're such a close drive, such a close commute to, the the snow activities, the snowboarding and the skiing and the all that has to offer. It's at a really close distance to here.
Yeah, I was going to click on to, but I didn't want to be offline visually too much. But we do go into great detail in the four seasons of the Boise area, what to expect, winter, spring, summer, fall. So if you want to know more detail about it, but basically the high level 30,000 foot view is we get all four seasons. You know when it's winter, you know when it's spring, you know when it's summer, but none of them extreme. Is that a fair assessment in your experience?
Yeah, I think what a lot of people don't know about this area, like it's considered high desert, right? When you think of the Pacific Northwest or the Rocky Mountain Range, like towering peaks and pine trees and mountainous, and we have all of that. But specifically here in the valley, we're high desert, so it's like Jerod said, the banana belt, the warmer temperatures. This winter's a perfect example. You know, uh, we're above freezing. We've had a few days below freezing, but for the most part, we're above freezing, and it's raining while it's snowing here in the closest mountain ranges around us. So
Yeah.
very very livable, much less of a an ice cube building society than you would think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one thing that says a lot. I've had a friend of mine. He's been here since '05, I think he said, and he was born and raised in the Central Coast, California. Pretty much idyllic weather, and he absolutely loves Idaho. So if you're concerned about the weather, he's just one example, and I've helped a lot of people relocate, and I'm sure you have too, Chase, that get concerned about am I going to handle the weather? And I think if you just have an open mind about it and learn the different activities, sports in the different seasons, most people
Hmm.
just absolutely fall in love with it. I mean, he granted he still loves where he came from, but he absolutely loves Idaho. He's now a skier and a mountain biker. And anyway, so he's kind of immersed himself in it. But the only other thing I would add, though, is there can be during a day a drastic swing in temperature. That'll be one thing that you would want to know. So if you're hot during the day in the summer, just wait till evening or in the middle of the night. The temperature will drop a lot. We'll get 10, 20, 30, even north of 30-degree temperature swings throughout the course of a day because we're in the high desert, like you mentioned. So
Yep.
that's one thing to think about. But again, this is all 30,000 foot level stuff that we go into a lot more detail. But I think that'll give you the kind of highlights of that people typically really fall in love with what we have to offer here for climate.
Yeah, I think one of the things for me for sure, and what I hear from a lot of my friends and clients that have moved here, you don't really know how much you'll love seeing the four seasons, right? Like
Right.
a lot of places don't have them. That spring, summer, winter, or fall and winter, like being able to actually see them all. Um, I, I would I would prefer a much longer fall myself. That's my favorite season. But we get a fall. We get to see the leaves change. We get, everything under the sun. We get the white Christmases, all the spring flowers. Um, yeah, just the weather in general, like, is one of my favorite parts about Idaho.
Yep.
We get a little bit of everything.
Yeah, yeah. I used to live in Arizona, and it was just summer and hot summer. You couldn't even appreciate the holidays because it was just the same climate, just a few degrees cooler. So yeah, I absolutely love it as well. Probably my favorite visually is the fall when the color of the leaves change. Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful. But
Yeah, yeah, it
yeah, other than
really is.
that, let's again, we got a lot of ground to cover. Let's talk about commute. And just so you know, back again on our website, we've got the Y Idaho. It's under what, either traffic or commute. Let's see here. It's hard to tell when I got on a smaller screen, but there's a commute topic here that we'll talk in a lot greater detail.
There it is, right
There it
there.
is, right there. Yeah. Um, we have a podcast on that. Great group of guys just chatting about what to expect, and then of course a write up and on the different considerations. But you know, you and I both have seen a tremendous amount of change in commute, and I'd say that's definitely the relative, the epitome of relative, right?
Yeah.
The people that have lived here are annoyed because
Yeah.
they lived here all their life and they're frustrated that our traffic is what it is and they're kind of beside themselves. But, again, living in the Phoenix area, living in the Portland area, this is nothing. I make myself not complain about the commute because I've lived in high commute areas. And when we hear stories of people commuting an hour to two each way every day, in like California, we're nowhere near that.
Right. Yeah, no, it was one of the greatest things, right? Um, yes, I'm one of those people that have been around a long time, and the influx of traffic tends to get on my nerves from time to time. But um, the great thing about how we're built, it allows you to live out, right, and commute to work. You can live, 30 minutes away from downtown, and it's 30 to 40 miles instead of it's comparative. The amount of time that you drive is comparative to the miles that you live away from work, as opposed to sitting in dead stop traffic all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say if you're strategic about when you move here, if you want a short commute to work, be close to work. Some people
Hmm.
love that and they want to minimize that. Other people are like, you know what, when I go home in the evening or when I go home on the weekend, I want to live a totally different lifestyle. I want to be close to recreation or I want to be close to family or whatever. So I think if you map that out, and certainly we'll help you do that if you're relocating into the area, prior, I think you can eliminate a lot of that headache up front. And then there was another thing I was going to say as well. But I think it's just, and it's about being aware of timing. If
Mm.
you plan out your day, if you make a difference from traveling at from 7 to 10:30, night and day difference, right?
Right.
So if you have
Yes.
that flexibility, the commute that people are complaining about, the travel home or the travel to work, if you have some flexibility there, that could save you a lot of headache.
Yeah. Absolutely. Planning where you move, what time you work, where, what part of town you're in, all that stuff's really important. But it's, again, to your point in the beginning, it's not like it is in a lot of these other big cities. Right? We still have that small town feel. We're definitely going through some growing pains because we are a great place to live, and there's a lot of people moving here, and traffic is one of our growing pains. But it, like, my family and I vacation all the time to some of these other states, and I've got family in Salt Lake. We go to Portland and go to the coast and all that stuff, and it just, wow. Like,
Yeah.
as irritated as I can get because I know what it used to be. We are still extremely blessed with the way you can get around this town.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the takeaway. It's all perspective. It's relative to where you're coming from. And again, if you put some thought into it, I think you can mitigate, a lot of the headaches that people experience. Commute time to your favorite recreational areas. You know, if you come into the valley here, and like I live in Eagle because I love going up north, right?
Yep.
I just jump on 55. It's not even 2 miles down the road. And I'm heading up to Donnelly. I'm heading up to McCall. I'm heading up to Tamarack. I can just take Hill Road down and get up to Bogus Basin. So, you know, I've kind of strategically, and you know, being in real estate, I have the luxury. You know, I could live Center Valley because that's more convenient to the rest of the valley. But you know, my parents live here too, so that helps. But my point is, you know, picking that out, identifying, you know, where you want to be and what's most important to you, I think will be very advantageous.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's pretty easy to get around this valley in general, right? Like um, I'm a mountain guy. Like that's one of my favorite parts of being here is it, and the ease of getting, living. I live on the south side of town, and to get to the places that Jared's talking about north, I'm adding maybe 15, 20 minutes to my drive. Like it's still easy to get to those places and get to access those highways to get up out of town for the weekend, for sure.
Yeah, I won't spend a ton of time on this, but I just want to give you a little bit of insight as to what Chase is talking about here, kind of how our valley is laid out, so that you get an idea on the commute. Like I said, we do go into much greater detail in another podcast, but you know, the valley's broken down. If you can see my cursor here, everything to the east, to the right, is Ada County, and everything to the left here, for you know, most intents purposes, is Canyon County. Eagle Road kind of chops it up pretty well, or maybe even Meridian Road. There's some major, you know, roads heading north and south, and of course you can see the freeways here from 84. This is probably our most, definitely our most traveled road, getting you across the valley, and then 26 or Chinden. What's that?
Yeah. The 84 too. That's pretty much the north-south divider. That's what everybody sees that as is this point at this point.
Yeah, so if you're wanting to like get down to downtown Boise, and you know, I've got some folks, we just went out looking this weekend, and they wanted to be in Cuna. One, because of the lifestyle of Cuna. We sent them our lifestyle relocation guide that I mentioned earlier, and they identified Cuna as kind of that lifestyle they wanted, but they wanted easy commute to the airport, to downtown Boise, so they can just head up to 84 and drop into where they need to be. So, you know, I'm just saying a little bit of thinking. We'll plan a lot of that out. But, you know, now some of these are getting really congested, like Eagle Road
Hmm.
and Fairview's the highest trafficked intersection in the state of Idaho. Um, and, you know, again, some people consider it a nightmare. Other people are like, okay, this is annoying, you know, but not too bad. But generally speaking, I'd like to think we're not staying ahead of it, but we're trying really hard to keep up.
Yeah, a lot
Is
of
that a good
construction.
assessment?
And they've got some good things in the works, right? Like, that star to 55 corridor they're putting in, and like there's definitely, I think probably the biggest reason, it's obviously it has a little bit to do with politics, but the biggest reason that we're a little bit behind is also one of the reasons that Idaho is another great place to live, is we don't build into deficit, and so they spend the money they have and they don't overspend, and so we're not, the city's never, the valley's never in trouble, which is super nice to not have, to have a liquid government, right, running
Yeah,
things.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, grow as it makes sense. Try to keep up as best you can. The only other thing I'd add is 16. They are punching through here. That's going to be
Yep.
super helpful in
Yep.
alleviating a lot of pressure. One of our awesome bedroom communities is up here in Emmett, and that'll, you know, a
We,
lot of people commuting
yeah.
into town, working in town.
Center back on there again real quick.
Say what?
Center back on there again real quick. I just wanted to point something out, like center back at like on like Eagle Road, and
Oh,
if
gotcha.
yeah, you like, so just in this small little area, you can see Lake Lowell, which is a great recreational area. This other body of water up here, you're talking about Lucky Peak Dam, Arrow Rock Dam, and then there's also a river that flows right through town. And being a fly fisherman, I'm like, that's our city in a nutshell, right there. Like all your recreation is within a few minutes of driving.
Yeah,
Anything
Lake
you want.
Holes out here, West Canyon County. Yeah, yeah, a couple of lakes up here, large dam. That dam
Mhm.
lets it drop, into the river here, or into the valley here, and it just goes across town. Our Boise River Greenbelt, it's by far, in my opinion, one of our biggest gems that we've
Yeah,
got.
for sure.
But yeah, so again, we go into greater detail in another podcast, but let's cover another pro. This what's interesting is a lot of this stuff will be on both our pro and our con list, right? So
It can
um,
be, yeah, right?
yeah, so pro, traffic here way better than other places. The next podcast cons traffic will be on that. Like if that's
Yeah,
if that's something you're trying to get away from or don't want any part of, then that's a con.
right,
um,
absolutely.
but jobs would be another one. I would say, we're interestingly a very high tech area. We have a lot of technology companies here. Big presence for HP, of course. Micron is a big employer here. So surprisingly dense, technology based.
Yeah, absolutely. A deep history in it too, right? With Micron and HP, they've both been around for, I mean, those are Idaho companies, right? So as they've grown and spread throughout the world, the Idaho's remained their base, and so that's really fantastic. And I think we're becoming that spot that people look at, right? You hear of rumors of us being the next Silicon Valley and all that. We've got Meta putting a giant facility here, so it's we're drawing that type of business, which is super super awesome. Uh,
Amazon, big
they've
presence here now.
Yeah, right. And so it's always been like we have those anchors, which is one thing I think historically we haven't had enough of, for jobs and opportunities and keeping our graduates,
Right.
in state, and having other graduates move here. And so
Hmm.
it's nice to see those things starting to pick up and really, becoming a force in our economy here locally.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, again, depending on how you're looking at it, there could be a lot of opportunities, right, in your wheelhouse, or you could say, man, there just isn't the job presence or the pay isn't there. But you,
I,
so it's going to be a personal thing, and we can help you identify, hey, this is what you want to get into, this is what you're into. We can talk you through that.
Yeah, I think, for me, honestly, with what's going on here, job wise, I think one of the things that impresses me most and that I get most excited about when you're talking jobs and business here is that we're a very big entrepreneurial based economy, right? Like we've got some guys that have taken something small and turned it into big business, like bodybuilding.com, right? And that guy's still here.
Yeah.
We've got ClickFunnels, and that's still here.
Hmm.
And so we really foster that entrepreneurial, that presence,
Yeah.
in
Timesheets got bought out by Intuit.
right. Yeah, I mean that's like a bunch of that going on here. So, and that's exciting to be around. So we get great conferences every year. We get great people visiting, and so it's that stuff's exciting. And I'm a sales guy. Like I'm essentially an entrepreneur myself. I do, a few other things as well, but um, that's what I get excited about, and that it constantly brings young energy into the valley, with new ideas and new opportunities.
Hmm. Yeah. So there's obviously reports and things that you can find out online. Again, that relocation guide that we have. Every segment that we're talking about today, this relocation guide goes into, so you can find that on our website. So if you want that, in PDF format, you can just visit myhomeconnection.com and download that. But yeah, let's see. So we talked about. Um, let's talk about just general quality of life. Man, I don't I don't even know how to put it into words. It's just I'm in awe of raising a family here and recreating here, and how genuine people are and real. And of course, you know the base soup that we have here. I heard this analogy the other day, and I'll probably butcher it a little bit, but if you have a good soup, you know, people really enjoy it. The more ingredients you put in, meaning other people coming in, that can change that, right? So you'll often hear us talking about not changing the flavor of our soup. I don't know if they word it that way, but don't mess up Idaho. uh, but I think people that have been here for quite some time certainly have embraced it. You'll get the wave walking down the street. And it's not a middle finger, you know. You'll get the hi, how you doing at the grocery store. You'll get the caring question, how are you doing today? So if you're native here or you moved here a long time, you've enjoyed that, and people that are moving here really appreciate that. So I would consider that a very high quality of life aspect for me, that people care.
Yeah, I'm.
You could say
We're
it.
blessed. Like we're
Oh,
blessed. Like we really are blessed. You just got my mind spinning with that, and some of the things that even we take for granted, but we really are still a farming, ranching based community, and we still have that feel. Like we have that wave to your neighbor, like Jerod talks about. We have, um, we one of my favorite things to do. When my wife and I were first married, I had a house downtown. I was like 6 blocks from downtown, and one of our favorite things to do, and still is today, and we're going on 18 years this year, is in the summer is going downtown to 8th Street, and in the summer and having dinner. Every restaurant has a patio, and you sit out on 8th Street and they shut the traffic off, and you sit out on the patio and there's people walking by, walking their dogs, riding their bikes, on skateboards. Like it just, it has that small town square feel, and you're surrounded by these big tall buildings and US Bank and Zion's and the industry, but we've maintained that, and that is due to the people. Like that's the only way to explain it, right? And we've been lucky in the people that have moved here, that they love what we have to offer, and so far they haven't changed it, right? Like, and so that's kind of the feel. Like I am essentially an introvert. I would love to do nothing else but to stay on my farm all day long, and yet one of my favorite things to do is go around and go downtown and be around the people here. So I don't know, maybe that gives you a little insight into how good we have it with our neighbors.
yeah, yeah. And there's a lot that goes into quality of life, right? One of the podcasts that we still have yet to do that's earmarked is freedom. Freedom
Mm.
in Idaho. The freedom to go where we want. To still say what we think, and to do the things that we want. To freedom to choose the schools our kids go to, and stuff like that. So we could talk about quality of life ad nauseum, but I think it's just very important to know. Again, since '05, when I got licensed, I have yet to have somebody say, I wish I wouldn't have moved to Idaho. There was one holdout for a long time, because she just had so many good friends and family back where she lived before, that she just kind of struggled for quite some time. But once she built up that friend base, and really started to enjoy what we have to offer here, she eventually appreciated moving here. But I think that I'm just trying to sum up that quality of life. Again, what am I, 18, 19 years into real estate? People still love being here, for all the aspects that we're talking about. I think quality of life is one that kind of sums it up best.
Yeah, 100%. And there's, like you said, there's so many things that go into the quality of life, whether it's the access to the outdoors, the way we live our lives outdoors here, right? The foothills are full of mountain bikers and joggers and runners, and we're close to the mountains, and the skiing and the fishing and like it all plays into that.
Yeah.
And it has that, like I said earlier, that small town feel, and people still wave and open the door for one another, and yeah, it's a unique place, and I've tried. honestly, as it's grown, I have I have I kept thinking I wanted to go to someplace smaller or someplace more remote or so like, but it's just perfect here.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't imagine raising my sons anywhere else than
Yeah.
this place.
Yeah, I moved here from Portland area, and we got an agent on the team, and he's from Portland. He's got family back there, and I just think, man, if I had not left and then raised a family there, I mean, to his each his own, but it's just not
Yeah.
that would not have been for me. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
not. I just feel totally blessed to have moved here and lived the life that we've lived and afforded my kids the upbringing that they've had. But anyway, you made for a good segue, great segue, and this speaks to quality of life as well, and that's recreation.
Mhm.
Again, we have all the different topics on why Idaho. We just finished up skiing and mountain biking. So if you want to check that out. Oh, we did a one on fishing where we showed kind of this. I think it's a giant white. Uh,
Sturgeon.
not what is it?
That's a white sturgeon. Yeah, it's a sturgeon.
Sturgeon. There we go.
Yep.
Thank you.
Snake
Yeah.
River
So
sturgeon.
so anyway, if you want to drill down, if you've got some specific recreation that you're interested in, just hit up one of these links here, and we've got podcasts speaking in detail to all that. But um, really, I don't know that I've lived in a place with as much, with as robust of recreation as we have here. Like we have not only recreation, but world class recreation. You know,
Yeah, we really do.
the hunting
We
that
really
we
do.
that we have here, the fishing we have here, the whitewater rafting that we have here. Um, I mean, it's all top notch stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like mountain biking is incredible, right? Like that's one of your big hobbies. Used to be one of mine, um, and you can easily go 5 days a week. I mean, the foothills. There's so many mountain biking trails, and I am an avid fly fisherman, and this state in general is full of places to go. I took a fly fishing class in college. This is dating me a long, long time ago. We won't say when I graduated, but I took a
Come on,
fly
come on,
fishing
Chase.
in college, and we literally walked out of BSU, which is situated on the Boise River, and we're catching fish right behind the college, right? Like
Yeah,
that's the that and the green belt runs along the river through three different cities, right? Like Boise and Garden City and Eagle. Like it runs the length of the river. That's just teeming with wildlife. We still see deer in the middle of town next to the river. It's incredible, and I hunt. I can hunt an hour from here, deer and elk. Um, there's no end. Like and it's awesome. Like the high desert thing is fantastic. We're a part of the Rocky Mountains, which you can see beautiful tall mountains that covered in pine trees with high mountain lakes and all of that stuff. But you can go a little bit to the east and you can see craters of the moon, which is a volcanic formation that they trained astronauts on, and it's all desert, right? Like North Boise is foothills, South of Cuna is desert, right? It's just
yeah.
we have it all,
Bruno
and no
Sand
matter.
Dunes is out here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You've got, which is one of my kids still love to do that every year. Go to
Yeah,
Bruno. Like we literally have it all. You have national parks like Hell's Canyon that it's limited. Like it's limited how many rafts can go in there and how many boats can go in there every year. Right.
yeah.
Like you have to have permits. It's like you will see things that you cannot even imagine when you
Yeah,
come to
Lake
Idaho.
Lowell, that's easily accessible. If you're in Canyon County, Lake Lowell's just a stone throw, to wherever you want to go, or
Yeah. I
whatever you
used
want to
to
do. Excuse me.
wakeboard I used to wakeboard there every morning before work, just so
Really?
that's how close it is, right? Like you could run out there, I could run out there, meet my buddies out there, we could get in a couple sessions and then head to work. Like
Yeah.
it yeah. And the Snake River, there is
Right
so
here.
much to do. Yep, you got out there south of on the Snake River. You have you'll see hieroglyphs. You've got this like Jerod showed the picture of the sturgeon that you can catch. You can't keep them here; they are protected here. Incredible, incredible fish. Um, there's I don't know. It literally there is so much to do in this state and so much to see. You could For me, I do go on vacation. I see other places. I could literally never leave this because even being here all the years I've been here, I haven't seen it all and done it all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the list just kind of goes on and on, from ice fishing to fly fishing. Oh, the mountain biking. I was going to comment. Most people don't know George Bush, when he was president, came out here and mountain biked up at Tamarack.
That's right. When it was brand
Tamarack
new.
just
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's a little bit
absolutely.
north of here. It's about 2 hours north, but that's one of my favorite places to go. Just on the west side of Cascade Lake. But
Hmm.
yeah, I flew out in his helicopter and downhill mountain bike. So, and I'm only telling you that to say, clearly, if it's on the president's radar, it's a big deal.
Well, and I mean, to that point, like it's been on the radar of the rich and famous for decades and decades, right? Like the first ski resort in the nation is Sun Valley, and Ernest Hemingway wrote about it and spent time up there. And there are countless celebrities and A-listers, right, that have property up there and that frequent our state. So it's been a secret maybe among the general population, but there's a lot of people that have been coming here to recreate for a very long time.
Yeah, yeah. So pick what it is you like to do, and my guess is that your interests will broaden, right? I mean, I've picked up hiking, because you can't help it. I mean, there's so many great hiking trails, man. I just want to go hiking because you get to see a lot of the beautiful countryside. Mountain biking, kind of like you said, I can ride up to the Eagle Sports Complex, again, like a mile down the road, and I can be as casual or as aggressive as I want to be, and
Hmm.
I can do that in the afternoon. I can, if I want to go for a weekend, I can head up north and, hang out at Tamarack and ride that same mountain that we were just talking about. So, I've never been a super big fisherman, but I'm super interested in fly fishing, specifically here in Idaho, because it's great fly fishing. You know, just so you know, I have zero interest in ice fishing. If you're interested.
I'm with you on that. I've fished all my life. I've never been ice fishing. I'm yeah, that's not my jam.
Pass, hard pass. I'll let you guys figure that one out. But there's great places to go for that as well, and
Absolutely.
the people that do
Very
ice
popular.
fish say it's, yeah, super popular and super great to do.
I would say
Um,
if you don't like the outdoors, then Idaho's probably not your spot. Like that, maybe that's one thing you could say, right? Like we live outside here, and I love that about our state.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But let's see. I know this is going a little long. I think lifestyle fits into probably recreation, and then we can just probably
Yep.
wrap it up, because again, we've broken down all these into their own separate podcasts. But you take that quality of life, you take that recreation, take your jobs. Um, I think you've got a very good idea of what the lifestyle here is. Like you said, we're very much outdoors. We're very friendly. We're walking or biking the green belt, and we're pulling along and jumping into a restaurant to grab a bite to eat. We brought our fishing stuff so we can go in the green belt to fish. So that lifestyle fits pretty much the whole valley here. But what I will say is our lifestyle guide um, breaks down each area of town in a little bit greater detail, because we do have, let me see here, each area of the valley kind of has its own I don't want to say sub lifestyle, but its own maybe like culture or
Yeah.
style to its own. It's character. I
Hmm.
think that's what I'm looking for. Do you agree with
Yeah.
that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think some of them can mirror, right? Like when you're talking about the Melba, that South Canyon open farming horses, that can kind of mirror over in, Emmett in some of those areas. And then we have the revitalizations going on, right? Like out in Caldwell with what they're doing and with that square and their own little, downtown area that they're building, to kind of mirror what Boise's had all these years, right? And really drawing people in, which is another thing that I think um, that's actually super positive about all the growth that we've had, right? Like, as being someone that's here, being a local, been here a long time, you could really build on the negative, of this many people moving here because our state's awesome. But like that allows for a lot of things. It allows for the revitalization of certain areas. It allows for the monies to expand, things that we've needed to for years. And so it's not all negative with the growth, right? Like it helps to build the different areas and allows these cities to do things that they've been wanting to do for a really long time.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I spoke about it in one of my older, traffic videos that I did. I actually went out in the field and showed the traffic and all that, and that was my overarching kind of what I wanted to share was you get the trade-offs. Like I went to Fairview and Eagle, again the highest trafficked intersection in Idaho, and I said, okay, so here's the traffic, but now look where I get to go. And I went over to the village and I videoed, the outdoor mall and the shopping and the restaurants. And I think at that point they were having a concert out front, and they have a movie theater. I'm like, this wouldn't be here but for the growth that we
Yeah.
had. And the village at Meridian is absolutely amazing. So I guess I'll take that additional commute for the benefit of the what I would call a quality of life improvement of the
Yeah.
village.
Yeah. No, and that's all over the valley, right? Like with the revitalization of downtown Caldwell, with the additional restaurants that it's brought downtown. We didn't have a Ruth's Chris before things started to grow,
Yep.
right? And it brings it, it's bringing culture that maybe we didn't have. Like I would say, if we're short on anything here in the valley, it would be like the museum side, the art, music and culture. And now, like with the growth, we have one of the largest music festivals in the nation every
Tree
year.
fort.
Yeah, with Treefort,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's allowing all of that stuff to happen, which is just deepening our culture
Yeah.
here in the valley.
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, we've covered a lot, and I know there's other things we could talk about in the way of pros, but this could be a day long podcast, which we
It's
clearly
a never
can't
ending
do.
topic, man. Never ending topic.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why we've broken down that series. So, in part of our perfect home buying process, we send out the things that I mentioned to you, and we're going to incorporate this lifestyle series. What we were doing was sending out the podcast weekly so they could hear on the different topics. Thank you, Chase, for helping on the lending side for a lot of the different topics. What it's going to take, the upfront cost to buy a home, what's going on with interest rates, just a lot of the things you're going to want to know on the buyer side. But what I'm leading up to is this lifestyle series will be yet another series that we'll send out on a weekly basis with each of these topics embedded in the email, so you can get a link to it, to really familiarize yourself with the Boise, Idaho, the Treasure Valley area. So, so to kind of bring things full circle and wrap things up, there's a couple things that I want to share when we talked about the perfect home buying process and all you get in that. The way to take advantage of that, just feel free to either comment below perfect home buying process. My contact information will be in there, and we'll get you Chase's as well. But use the phone number or the email at the top right here, and just reference that perfect home buying process, and we'll get you started on that. If you want to reach out directly to Chase, again, he's with Summit Funding, and all his contact information's on his website here. And also just reference that. Chase has been a great partner with us in developing the offers associated to the process. So, but man, with that, Chase, again, we always appreciate you jumping on the show and contributing. You've got value add from the time that you've lived here to the services you provide on the lending side, and just being a a good person to work with on a home purchase, and a great person in general. So we sincerely appreciate you.
Oh, thanks, Jerod. I couldn't imagine doing anything to brighten my day more than this. It's always good to
Awesome.
jump out here with you and just kind of shoot the breeze. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like it.
absolutely. Well, just to wrap it up, guys, if there's anything we can do to serve you in either getting you familiar with the Boise, Idaho area, or in that home buying, even home selling process, reach out. And man, we're not honored by much more than being able to serve you in that capacity. So
Absolutely.
thanks again, Chase. Have a good one.
Thanks. See you soon, buddy.